You are not defeated because life is hard. You are defeated because you keep arguing with yourself. A Roman centurion would watch the way you delay, rationalize, and retreat, and declare you unfit for even the lowest line of battle. A centurion woke not with questions, but with decisions already made. He didn't rise because of inspiration. He rose because his identity left no room for negotiation. If this confronts you, good. Rome sharpened men through pressure, not comfort. Weakness thrives in convenience. Strength grows only where excuses die, and you cannot transform without killing the part of you that clings to softness. There once lived a soldier within the Roman legions whose discipline was so consistent it bordered on unnatural. He was not the strongest, nor the tallest, nor even the most naturally gifted, yet he endured every march, completed every drill, and met every command with an unwavering steadiness that unsettled lesser men. When his cohort staggered beneath the metal weight of their equipment, he remained upright. When fear thinned the spirit of others, he stood anchored, immovable. His excellence was not loud. It was quiet, cold, and relentless, a living example of fortitudo forged into human form. Most assume this kind of unbreakable strength comes from talent or genetics. They're wrong. His power originated from an ancient Roman system designed to remove hesitation and extinguish negotiation entirely. This system was older than any emperor and harsher than any battlefield. It turned discipline into instinct and identity into law. It demanded that a man dismantle his civilian self and rebuild his inner architecture from the ground up. Few today would dare use it. The modern world is too soft, too forgiving, too engineered for comfort. But Rome had no interest in comfort. It engineered warriors. If you choose to follow this path, you are choosing the death of the self that keeps collapsing, delaying, and bargaining. The centurion's strength is not poetic. It is practical, structural, brutal, and transferable. This journey is not motivational. It is transformational. But transformation requires sacrifice. The version of you that negotiates must die. If you're ready to evolve into someone unrecognizable to your former self, then continue. Ahead lies a system that forged the backbone of an empire. Ahead lies the foundation of your rebirth, and the story that will mirror your own begins now. Marcus Hale wakes each morning repeating the same silent vow. Today, I change. He means it every time. He feels the spark of hope, the craving for structure, and the desire to finally become the man he has been imagining. But by midday, the momentum slips. By evening, the old habits reclaim him. His intentions scatter, his discipline dissolves, and he ends the day feeling weaker than he began. It isn't laziness. It's the humiliation of living beneath his own expectations. Marcus knows he is capable of more. He simply cannot maintain it. That inconsistency haunts him more than failure itself. Every week repeats the pattern. He builds a new plan with conviction. He organizes his time, sets routines, and prepares himself as if marching into battle. For a moment, he feels formidable, but soon the negotiation begins. A missed morning, a late night, a small excuse that grows into surrender. He tells himself he'll restart tomorrow, the lie he's told 100 times. And each time he breaks that promise, he feels his identity corrode. Not because the task was skipped, but because he watched himself fold. His enemy is not circumstance. His enemy is the quiet collapse within. He has tried everything modern culture praises: productivity apps, habit trackers, accountability systems, motivational videos, cold showers, morning routines copied from people with perfect lighting and no visible failures. Each tool works for a moment, but every method shares the same flaw. They demand constant willpower. And Marcus does not have constant willpower. No human does. These systems collapse because they rely on mood, energy, and inspiration. Marcus begins to realize that he is fighting chaos with improvisation. He is trying to build discipline on top of sand. No matter how hard he tries, the foundation keeps sinking. One night, after another abandoned routine, he sees the truth. The problem is not his behavior. It is the structure beneath the behavior. He lives like a civilian, responding to emotion instead of command. His life is a series of choices made in the moment, and every moment becomes a negotiation. He needs something older, harsher, and more absolute than modern advice. Something that removes choice entirely. Something forged in a world where hesitation meant death. He doesn't know it yet, but he is approaching the edge of Rome's ancient solution, the system that never negotiates. Marcus begins noticing a disturbing rhythm in his life. His failures are not random, they recur with mechanical precision. Every attempt at discipline collapses right when the discomfort rises. Every new routine survives for a short burst, then fractures under the slightest pressure. He sees this happen in his workouts, in his work, in his attempts to build habits. It's like watching the same defeat unfold with a different disguise. He begins to predict the moment he will break, as if his own weakness is following a timetable. And with each prediction comes dread. He is no longer surprised. He is resigned. That resignation becomes the true wound. He can now anticipate the exact day his resolve will crack, the hour his negotiations will begin, and the quiet moment when he will betray his own word. It feels like living with an enemy inside his mind who knows his schedule better than he does. This predictability terrifies him. He realizes that he has not failed once or twice. He has been failing in identical cycles for years. His collapses have a rhythm. His weaknesses have a method. He cannot break free because he is not fighting chaos. He is fighting architecture. The painful truth reveals itself slowly. The problem is not personal. It is structural. His system is built on spontaneity, on emotion, on a belief that willpower will be present when needed. But willpower is a coward. It abandons men in the heat of discomfort. Without a deeper system, he is at the mercy of his moods. He sees now why he collapses. He sees why no modern hack survives long. His life has no binding force, no ancient backbone, no vow ties him to action beyond how he feels. He has been improvising in a war that demands formation. Late one night, while searching for answers, he reads about Roman centurions and the vows they lived by. Not motivational promises, binding sacraments that fused identity to action. He reads about Roman watches, fixed times that governed soldiers like an internal drumbeat. He reads about their discipline, forged not through emotion, but through structure so rigid it bypassed choice. The idea strikes him like a hammer. Their power did not come from superhuman strength. It came from a system that made weakness irrelevant. Something ancient stirs inside him, a sense that Rome holds the key he has been missing. Marcus studies the Roman sacramentum, the oath sworn by every soldier. It wasn't a promise to try, it was a surrender of personal negotiation. A soldier vowed to obey, to stand firm, to act without hesitation even under death. It was identity welded to duty. Rome understood something modern people have forgotten. When action is tied to identity rather than mood, consistency becomes inevitable. The vow removes the question, "Do I feel like it?" The answer is predetermined. The sacramentum is a psychological weapon. It converts discipline from a decision into a reflex, bypassing the weak parts of the mind. As Marcus examines this principle, he sees why it works. Neuroscience calls it associative identity encoding. When a behavior is fused with identity, the brain stops treating it as a task and starts treating it as self-preservation. There is no debate, no emotional tug-of-war, no bargaining. The internal judge enforces the action because failing the action would mean failing the identity itself. This is why Roman soldiers were terrifyingly consistent. They were not motivated, they were programmed. Their oath created a neural shield against negotiation. Marcus feels something awaken within him, the sense of an internal commander beginning to rise. Determined, Marcus creates his own vow. Not poetic, not symbolic, practical, binding, Roman. He writes it with a cold clarity. At the first hour of every morning, I perform my ritual, without delay, without negotiation, without deviation. He speaks it aloud, not for inspiration, but for installation. He feels foolish at first, yet strangely grounded. This is not a goal. This is not a resolution. It is a shift in identity. He is not trying to become disciplined. He is swearing to become inevitable. He posts the vow on his wall like a centurion displaying his standard. The first test arrives the very next morning. He wakes groggy, unmotivated, heavy with excuses. Normally he would negotiate. 5 more minutes. Start later. Skip today. But the vow interrupts the negotiation before it forms. It's as if the decision was already made while he slept. There is no mental argument, only movement. The old system fractures. For the first time in years, he acts without bargaining. Not because he feels strong, but because the vow has replaced his feelings. He completes his ritual and realizes something quietly monumental. The cycle has cracked. A new identity has begun. Marcus soon learns that a vow doesn't silence the enemy inside him. It only exposes it. The following mornings are a battlefield. The old instincts return with new aggression, testing the strength of his resolve. His mind offers clever excuses, subtle bargains, and emotional tricks. The vow keeps him from collapsing, but the struggle persists. He realizes that the vow is the sword, not the shield. It cuts through negotiation, yes, but it does not remove the discomfort. He must still face the internal war. Discipline, he discovers, is not the absence of resistance. It is the refusal to be moved by it. As the days pass, Marcus encounters Rome's second principle, fixed timing. The Romans divided their lives into watches, non-negotiable blocks of time where specific actions were bound to specific hours. This eliminated the question of when, which is where most collapses occur. Marcus adopts this principle, setting a fixed hour for his ritual. At that hour, he moves. The structure reduces friction instantly. There is no debate about scheduling, no internal tug-of-war. The timing becomes a command. By removing the choice of timing, he removes the opportunity for hesitation. He begins to understand why Roman legions were unstoppable machines. Slowly, his body and mind begin adapting. The ritual becomes less of a battle and more of an expectation. His movements feel slightly smoother, his resistance slightly weaker. He notices a faint hint of automaticity developing, the early stage where a behavior transitions from effort to reflex. It's not effortless yet, but it's becoming less unnatural. The timing anchors him, the vow directs him, and repetition slowly begins shaping him. Marcus feels like he is forging internal armor, thin at first, then thicker each day. He's not winning easily, but he's beginning to win consistently. Rome would approve of this stage. But then he discovers the loophole hidden inside his progress: variety. On days when he changes the ritual, switching exercises, adjusting tasks, shifting the order, his discipline collapses. The structure dissolves. The negotiation returns. He sees the pattern instantly, every change in what opens the door to hesitation. Rome already knew this, which is why soldiers drilled the same movements, in the same order, at the same time, until identity absorbed action. Marcus realizes he must eliminate all variety. Discipline collapses the moment the mind senses optionality. To seal the system, he must make his actions identical every day. Marcus rebuilds his ritual with ruthless simplicity. Same sequence, same order, same duration, no variation. The ritual becomes a formation, tight, predictable, unchanging. He doesn't innovate, doesn't experiment, doesn't adjust. He locks the system the way Roman centurions lock their drills. The clarity strengthens him. The moment the hour arrives, he begins the sequence without thinking. There is no room for hesitation because there is nothing new to interpret. His mind stops analyzing and starts executing. By removing variety, he removes negotiation entirely. It feels restrictive, but also liberating, like stepping into armor that finally fits. Yet the mind rebels. The civilian part of him, accustomed to novelty and comfort, revolts against the monotony. It complains, resists, and pushes back with thoughts of boredom and fatigue. Marcus feels like he is grinding against stone, but he refuses to change the sequence. He refuses to allow variation to return. And then, one morning, something breaks, not in him, but in the resistance. He finds himself moving without effort, without debate, without emotional involvement. Autopilot emerges. The ritual begins before he fully wakes. The system has taken over. For the first time, discipline feels natural rather than forced. Then chaos strikes. Marcus wakes up sick one morning. Another day, he must travel early. On the third day, his schedule is disrupted by unexpected obligations. These moments would have destroyed his old routines. But this time, he performs an abbreviated version of the ritual, reduced, imperfect, but still done. He realizes the system doesn't crumble under pressure because the structure is too deeply installed. The vow triggers movement even when the body protests. The fixed timing calls him back even when circumstances shift. His discipline, once delicate and temporary, now survives impact. It bends, but it does not break. Through this chaos, he learns a Roman truth. Continuity outweighs perfection. The mistake most people make is believing they must perform perfectly or not at all. Rome knew better. A soldier who could not perform the full drill still performed something, because continuity preserved identity. Action, even imperfect action, reinforced the vow. Marcus understands now. The goal is not flawless performance. The goal is to never stop. His strength no longer comes from intensity, but from consistency. He finally grasps the mindset that made Roman centurions unbreakable. Identity survives only when continuity is absolute. Marcus now confronts one of the deepest lies he has carried his entire life, the belief that discipline only counts when performed perfectly. This all-or-nothing mentality has destroyed more progress than any failure ever could. He realizes that for years, he quit the moment imperfection entered the scene. One late wake-up, One missed session, one slip, and he would burn everything down and restart tomorrow. Rome viewed this mindset as weakness. A centurion did not restart. He adjusted. He continued. Marcus decides to bury the lie. His new identity has no tolerance for catastrophic thinking. Imperfection is still action. To prove this truth, he begins practicing the ritual under terrible conditions. Fatigued, distracted, rushed, irritated, behind schedule, days where everything feels off. Conditions that once guaranteed collapse now become training grounds. The ritual isn't pretty, it isn't impressive, but it is consistent. And each time he completes it under adversity, his identity hardens. He learns that discipline is not the performance of perfect days, it is the repeated endurance of imperfect ones. The ritual becomes less about the outcome and more about the continuity of movement. Rome valued constancy above brilliance, loyalty above intensity, and Marcus finally understands why. Then the unexpected obstacles arrive with the ferocity of ambushes. A sudden work crisis, a family emergency, a week of broken sleep. The kind of disruptions that used to send Marcus spiraling into chaos. His schedule fractures, his energy dips, and emotionally, he feels pulled back toward his old identity. Yet something has changed. He no longer improvises. Instead, he reaches instinctively for the framework he has been building. He doesn't ask, "How do I salvage this day?" He asks, "What does the system require now?" His perspective shifts from survival to structure. The internal commander speaks louder than the chaos. This is where he discovers the pre-solution principle. When X happens, I do Y. No improvisation, no emotional guessing. Every disruption is assigned a predetermined response. If he wakes late, he performs the shortened ritual. If he feels unmotivated, he initiates the minimum viable version. If he travels, he executes the travel sequence. If sick, he performs the breathwork alternative. No situation leaves him directionless. This principle transforms unpredictability into inevitability. Rome mastered this. Legions survived storms, hunger, ambushes, and exhaustion because responses were predetermined. Marcus now possesses the same armor. He has eliminated uncertainty itself. Days later, Marcus witnesses something remarkable. His pre-decided responses activate without conscious thought. He wakes late and instantly begins the abbreviated ritual. He feels exhausted and finds himself moving before the negotiation appears. He faces unexpected stress and shifts seamlessly into the appropriate sequence. The system operates like a Roman watch, unquestioned, unbroken, precise. He has stopped deciding and started executing. The patterns fire without permission. This is the beginning of full automaticity. He now understands what the centurion lived by. Discipline is not what you choose, it is what you are compelled to do by identity. As weeks pass, the transformation deepens. His actions no longer feel like tasks. They feel like extensions of who he is. The vow is no longer something he remembers. It is a force that moves him. The timing no longer feels strict. It feels natural. The sequence no longer feels repetitive. It feels stabilizing. Marcus realizes he has reached the Roman state of Constantia, where consistency is not performed but lived. He has become the type of man who moves the same under comfort or discomfort, clarity or fog, calm or chaos. His discipline has evolved from effort into instinct. People around him begin to notice the change. Some are impressed, most are unsettled. They cannot understand how he moves without hesitation, how he never cancels his commitments to himself, how he refuses to negotiate with his own mind. They call it obsession, over-discipline, or rigidity. But their discomfort only confirms the truth. Marcus has crossed a threshold they have never touched. They are witnessing a man who has erased improvisation from his life. His steadiness reveals their instability. His clarity reveals their confusion. His identity reveals their lack of one. Rome warned, "True discipline disturbs the undisciplined." In time, Marcus becomes unrecognizable even to himself. The version of him who broke promises and lived in cycles of collapse feels like a stranger. He no longer identifies with weakness or hesitation. His system is welded into him. His identity is no longer civilian. It is Roman. He no longer hopes for discipline. He embodies it. And now, you must decide whether you will follow the same path or remain in negotiation with your life. If you choose the Roman way, understand this: strength is not an act, it is a structure, and identity is a command that must be obeyed.